our fifth Circular Economy Week webinar, spotlighting cities and regions around the world and how they're making progress to a more circular economy. Today, we're delighted to be talking to three representatives from major Latin American cities, Bogotá, Buenos Aires, and Panama City, to find out how they are accelerating the shift to a circular economy. I'm sure you'll be hearing some inspiring and informative insights from them in their presentations, and we'll be doing a Q&A afterwards with these three municipalities. So if you've got questions, put them in the Q&A. Put them in the Q&A at any point in time, not just at the end. We'll come to them, and we'll keep an eye on those questions as we go through and have a chance to ask them at the end. So today we'll be hearing some case studies exploring practical and replicable examples from the cities on the webinar, and hearing about successes and challenges from this inspiring group of Latin American cities working to implement the circular economy at a city level and build resilience against the climate crisis, amongst other things. If we can have the next slide. So today we're going to be hearing from Carolina from the city of Bogotá, Francisco from the city of Buenos Aires, and Jannia from Panama City. But quite excitingly, Carolina, who was going to go first, is in City Hall and has been called into a debate. So what we're going to do is go to, and I hope you're ready, Francisco. We're going to go to Francisco first, then Jannia, and then hopefully Carolina will be available. If not, Oscar's going to step in and do her presentation. So life is happening, real life is happening as we speak. So I'm going to invite Francisco onto the screen, and hopefully he'll be able to give his presentation.
Hello, thank you very much, Wayne, for the introduction. So I will start sharing my screen. Give me a minute. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Well, my name is Francisco Sánchez Moreno. I'm actually a General Director of Circular Economy and Recycling in the government of City of Buenos Aires. And I'm in charge of the design and the development of the circular economy strategy, which will be created in close cooperation with strategic stakeholders. Buenos Aires has 3 million people that live all days, but an additional 3 million that enter the city daily to work, to do their shopping, or to study. We receive 11 million of tourists per year also. We generate per day 7,000 tons of urban solid garbage, and we then, I will say how we manage it. And we also recover 52% of what we generate. It is divided in organics, almost 25%, recyclables 23.3%, and debris 44%, and others that we englobe others kind of garbage, 7.7%. Which one is our starting point? Our starting point, we divide it in three. First, the framework. In Argentina, we don't have extended producer responsibility law, so all the waste management is paid by all citizens, by their taxes. Since 2005, we are pledged to fulfill a local zero waste law. Buenos Aires is determined to become a carbon neutral, resilient, and inclusive by 2050. In 2021, we'll launch our third climate action plan with ambitious goals. And at the same year, our parliament approved our circular economy law. Awareness raising. In Buenos Aires, 56% of citizens segregate garbage at home. We have a very ambitious plan to all schools, not just public, but also private, to teach environmental and academic content in all levels. We create an environmental movement called Green Ambassadors, where people can participate in each of their neighborhoods, doing what they want, in order not just to be our responsibility as a government, but also to work with them as a whole team. We also create our circular economy network, where we group enterprises, NGOs, and universities to create an ecosystem of projects that have the same and the same objective. Also, our communication is very incisive because we want to give messages real clear what is possible to separate and how the system works, in order to people separate when it's not happening. Our waste recovery system. Buenos Aires has an important dry waste management system based on incorporating 12 waste recycling cooperatives with urban hygiene service. This joint work has helped us recover and valorize a greater amount of recyclable materials, promote their reinsertion in the market, and formalize the employment of green jobs. 6,000 urban pickers are clustered in 12 cooperatives that run 16 green centers, the places where material is prepared for actual recycling. We also have 3 composting centers for leaves and grass, and a recycling center where we process more than 3,000 tons of debris, planning, organic, and PET streams. Transforming the paradigm from a linear economy into a circular economy is necessary to become a carbon neutral, resilient, and inclusive city. All actors involved, both in production and consumption sectors, must adopt the necessary changes in their habits for this transformation to take place. So far, the focus has been on waste recycling, so the biggest challenge is to go beyond recycling. Enabling conditions for the transition is almost an urgency, and the path that this strategy aims is key. This strategy is a reference framework to identify priorities, management mechanism, and interinstitutional coordination to progress in the transformation of the production and consumption system. So how we are going to do it? We started with a diagnosis of 14 economic sectors that were analyzed under environmental, economic, social, and institutional indicators: construction, transportation, industry, rubber and plastic, food, textile, chemical, services, IT, hotels, and more. This phase was financed by ECLAC, and the second stage, financed by IADB, consisted of the actual design. To transition to CE models requires stakeholders' engagement in order to make it as participative and collaborative as possible. This is key for designing and implementing real measures. That's why in this phase we have activated 2 main governance mechanisms: a circular economy cabinet with members of different areas of the government, such as economic development, tourism, the fashion department, the environmental protection, energy, among others. and tables of dialogue with private sector, NGOs, and academia. These mechanisms are an opportunity of co-creation of the strategy and future alliances. The final document of the strategy will be finished by middle November. We prioritized 3 value chains: food, clothing, textile, and transport waste. Product of the recommendation of the diagnosis plus our decision as policymakers. That these 3 value chains cluster 6 economic sectors of the 14 analyzed. We have discussed this strategy with more than 100 representatives and 44 organizations participated in the dialogues, plus representatives of the Cabinet of Circular Economy. As a result of the whole process, the working groups with the private sector and governmental areas had more than 100 participants and resulted in more than 100 courses of action. We analyze all the courses of action and filter them, because it is important to remark that all the courses of action strengthen the zero waste and climate action goals. A quick review of each of them. In food, we developed a local study that has calculated the food and organics waste from households and businesses around 1,200 tons per day. We had 2 meetings where participants proposed ambitious and courses of action. After analyzing them, we will finally choose 3 main ambitions. The first one is valorization and organic waste on scale. Nowadays, we treat organic in small scale, 60 tons per day, but our main challenge is to achieve all the city and treat all the organic waste. It represents the 15% of the emission of greenhouse gases. That's why the course of action we are challenged to carry out are increasing the treatment capability and pave the way to improve the classification in 3 and install the organic stream collection. These measures implies a huge cultural change, not only with our citizens, but also within the urban hygiene services and the private sector. The second ambition is to implement a strategy to prevent the loss of food and waste, program for use the products and food in excess stock, and incentives to reduce waste in kitchens. And the third one, reduce and forbid single-use plastic. Establish a single-use plastic reduction program. Last year, we prepared and negotiate with the plastic sector, but next year, we will work it with the food and beverage sector. Textiles and clothing. Our city don't manage textile waste in nowadays, and the strategy brought the opportunity to do so. The estimation is that 250 tons per day of textiles are landfilled. So we have 2 main objectives. First, textile waste valorization. We want to put our eyes in the origin innovation, separate by color and textile components, and also training and strengthening programs for retailers, workshops, and cooperatives regarding recollection, classification, and recovery of textile waste. Also, promote the implementation of new circular strategies. Second life programs for textile crossover between supply and demand, strategies of reuse, repair, and upcycling also. Innovation table to seek financing, promote RD&I to create new products and public coordination. Two mirror themes emerge in order of transportation waste. It is batteries. What do we do with batteries and tires? Both could be inputs for domestic industry. Related to batteries, we want to formalize the recycling circuit for lead acid batteries, because only the 6% belong to the formal market. We want to create a circuit for lithium batteries. Then of tires, we want to extend the life of tires through repair and other measures. And we want to valorize the circuit or out of use tires through specific regime that detects generators, transporters, and treaters. Last but not least, energy. This one is cross-cutting to all sectors. At last, but not least, from the dialogue in the tables, we realized that existing energy programs were not known by private sector, and we have a huge opportunity in this field. So we have two main objectives: encourage the rational and efficient use of energy, increase the numbers of members for existing programs such as eco-socials, energy, and taxes discount, promotion of a diagnostic tool of energy cost reduction test, and encourage the reduction of replacement of fossil energy consumption. This is a big challenge since the energy is not produced in the city. Some courses of action proposed are promote hiring self-generation, renewable energy greater users, and promote incentives for purchase of equipment supplied by renewable energy. Thank you.
Thanks, Francisco. That was a really impressive review of all of the things that you're doing, and a particularly impressive review of your circular economy, the development of your circular economy strategy or route map. Got loads of questions, but just the first one. Do you see a big role for private sector players, and in particular small or medium-sized innovators using circular economy business models to achieve some of your ambitions and aims?
Yes, that's a good question. As I said, we developed a circular economy network. So we worked with many of these enterprises or maybe entrepreneurs that are looking to change their business in a more circular one. So at least in Buenos Aires, there is a great conscious about what people demand. Also, our generations are demanding more circular products, more environmental friendly products. So yes, I think that there are many of them that we are working now that have this main objective. And also our vision is that we can't do anything without them. So we don't have any chance in order to achieve our objectives. So yes, we promote our work in the public sector with them as the private one.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll come on to the Q&A later, so we'll see you then, Francisco. Please continue to put questions in the Q&A. We'll definitely want to include you and get you involved in this webinar. So please, as your thoughts kind of come up, put questions in the Q&A and we'll get to them later. I'm now going to introduce Jannia from Panama City, who will give her presentation, and then we'll see if we can go to Carolina. But first, I would like to introduce Jannia.
Hello. Here say that I cannot start my video because the house has stopped it. I don't know if you can help me with this, please.
Ali, can we do the presentation from our side?
No. I have my presentation. That's okay. Start my video. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Okay, I'm Jannia Samuels. I am Deputy of the Resilience Office in the Municipality of Panama. First, thank you for your time and opportunity for my city to be able to present the result of identifying our needs to improve the management of the waste that reaches through the Urban Ocean Program in the Circularity Assessment Protocol. We participate in this program with other 4 Asian cities where we were able to develop a pilot with the idea of the scaling it long-term project. This happened because Panama City is part of the Resilient City Network. We are the only city in Central America, so it's great. And in this program, the Urban Ocean Program, we are the only country at the, there was 5 cities, and we are the only city in America that works in the first cohort of this program. In our city context, our city is located in Central America. Panama City contains the 36% of the country population, and it's where the greatest economic activity takes place, mainly through the blue economy, such as the Panama Canal, which represents the 6.7% of the GDP, which contains the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans and mobilizes the 7% of the world's maritime trade. In addition to having the main ports and logistics centers in the region, our city contributes 20% of the GDP, which encourage migration to our city. This reflecting in a deficiency in a waste management that is a consequence, has affected our rivers and urban coast, having 7 of the 1,000 most polluted rivers in the world, which is too much for such a small country. On the other hand, environmental efforts have been made, such as maintaining a large coverage of reserved forest areas. Only the city of Panama has coverage of the 41%, and the protection of the 30% of the territorial waters. One of the 2030 objectives, we contradict being the city that generates the most waste that reaches the rivers and the sea in the country. In our overview of the city waste management cycle, we currently have only 1 collapsed landfill in our city, and we're only 2% of the waste separate for recycling, which corresponds to 700 tons per month. Panama City generates 34,000 tons of garbage monthly, which is collected by the National Cleaning Authority. Due to configuration of the city, it is difficult to collect in the entirety, causing the last 8,000 tons to remain in the streets. And during the rainy seasons, they are washed out drains and urban rivers, becoming one of the main causes of flooding in the city. Currently, there is no waste separation system, and a collection is made that is taken its entirety to the landfill in Cerro Patacón. For us, it's very important to improve the waste management since it's one of the causes of floods with great effects on the collapse of drainage and overflowing rivers. So it's a form of disaster risk reduction. During these 2 years of work, we had the opportunity to carry out a waste characterization study, where it was possible to identify the topology in different parts of the city. This is resulting in knowing the types of products that are most consumed that is not half cycle to be recycled. Also, the common form of garbage disposal, either commerce or residence. The circularity assignment protocol generated opportunities such as recycling will reduce the amount of waste on the landfill, rivers, and the ocean. There is a potential generating green jobs that can be generated by the informal works recyclers, improving our city's waste management and reducing the risk of flood disaster. One of our most important goals of our city, resiliency, expanding the city role, the recycling through the extended producer responsibility. In our description of our project in this program, we have a long project and a short project. In our long-term project, we seek to strengthen the city recycling system that includes waste recovery and sorting centers and a recycling center. This included creating green jobs through formalizing current recycles and creating products from raw materials created from the recycling and applying extended producer responsibility. Thanks to the Urban Ocean program, we have to able to carry out our first pilot where we were able to apply the circularity of the waste generated by our city. The municipality of Panama cleans beaches and rivers once a month. Unfortunately, because they are materials that deteriorate to the environment, they cannot be recycled. And we have to dispose them of the city landfill. So with this pilot, we connected with the NGO Botellas de Amor in Spanish, bottles of love, who asked the community to fill plastic bottles with wrappers and plastic that recyclers do not accept. With this material, this turn into a raw material to turn into plastic wood and make objects with them. I don't know if you can see me. No sé, I don't know if the camera is working. If yes, sorry?
Yes, it's working.
Okay. I don't know if it's focusing. For example, this is an example of one bottle of love. If you can see, it's a simple bottle that is filling with wrappers, plastics, and with this material, they do this raw material with this, and this is the new product using that. And the plastic we recollect the plastics that came from the cleaners, the beach cleaners. Oh. In this way, we made an agreement between the municipality and the NGO, where through the Urban Ocean program, we were able to acquire a machine from Costa Rica that treats the deteriorated plastic without using water and converts them into available plastic to be recycling and converted into a plastic wood. The agreement indicates that we will deliver all the plastic collected from the beaches and rivers. In addition, all the plastic collected from the, let me see, all the plastic that collected from our zero waste municipal recycling program, and the NGO will build urban furniture such bench, playgrounds, and bridges from our municipal parks. With this machine, we will be able to treat 34 tons of waste monthly in the future. And with this pilot, we will prevent the plastic from the reaching of the landfill and mainly of the oceans. and we will generate a municipal benefit for the user of our citizens. As a result of the pilot, we hope to obtain at last 10 bench this year made of this material. This pilot represents 60 tons per year of plastic that will not reach the landfill of the sea. And the last 10 schools training on climate change and disaster reduction through the Resilience Classroom is one of our programs. We have also training key employees with the municipality, inclusion of the new NGOs and companies in the program. I am very grateful for your time, for listening to our needs and your interest of being a part of the solution of this situation. As a city, we are willing to work together and create a true positive impact in the resilience in our city and yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jannia. That was really inspiring. I love the botellas de amor. I love it.
Yes, it's an amazing. Thank you.
We might borrow that idea. It's wonderful. But could you tell me the plastic that you clean from the beach, is that plastics that is coming in from elsewhere in the world, not from the stuff that's come from Panama?
Yeah, well, we have both. We have plastic that came from the ocean because we are in the Pacific, so all the plastic that came from other places came to our beach. So daily we fight the accumulation on plastics, and after that we have the plastics that came from the bad collecting waste that we have in the city. When we have a very strong rainy season here, we have maybe 8 months of very hard seasons raining. So all these waste there is in the city, when it came the rain is just go to the drain and rivers and finish at the beach. For that reason, we have to make this every month. It's not the best way. The best way is this. No exist the plastic there, but we have a huge problem because the collection of the waste is not from our municipality; it's from another authority. So we can't management. It's a problem. So this is the only thing that we can do it with the plastics, with collecting in the beaches, recycling, and trying to increase the circularity.
It's quite a sobering reminder of how pernicious plastic can be when it gets into the wider environment and causes all of these other problems like flooding. Thank you, Jannia. We'll come back to you at the end, but thank you for that. So I'm going to see if Carolina is now available, or are we going to be honored by Oscar? So Oscar, there we go. Carolina's still obviously
yes. But so thank you, Wayne.
I'll hand over to you, Oscar, and see you in a minute.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. Carolina apologized because she is in the government council, but I am going to present our progress in the circular economy issues. And I am Oscar Vargas. I am the coordinator of the program called Bogotá Circular. Okay, I share the presentation. Let me see. Okay. Are you seeing the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we are going to talk about the transition of the city to the circularity. The first one that I want to share is that we base our program in the same principles of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation promotes. that the first one is the promote the system efficiency. Second one, preserve and improve natural capital. And the third one, optimize the use of resource. But also we want to link this program of the circular economy with the sustainability programs and the climate actions programs in the city. The guiding principles of this transformation are the first one is the governance, the shared governance involve the private and the academic sectors and the co-responsibility of different actors. Also, it's very important to have a systemic vision of this kind of programs in order to see not only the management of the waste, but also the first steps in the circular economy, like repair, reuse, refurbish, you know. As an environmental authority, we need to integrate the public policies and the regulatory framework in order to promote the circular projects in the city. Yeah, and in these circular projects is very important the innovation. The innovation is a big issue in this kind of programs. And finally, is how to promote in the private sector that the circular economy helps the productivity and the competitiveness of in the city. Here you see what is the vision and the mission of the Bogotá Circular. I think that is a very important tool for promote the transition of the city toward the circularity, and how to promote some accelerator projects, how to promote a sustainable, competitive, regenerative, and restorative metropolitan city. Metropolitan because we are thinking not only in the city, but also in the towns near to the city, how to involve all the region. In this way, we have 4 lines of actions. The first one is research, innovation, and market development. As I said, the innovation, we can consider the innovation is a big issue in this kind of projects. The second one, as a public authority, environment authority, is also all things related with the regulation and public policy, the data management knowledge, and how to look for opportunity management, opportunity cooperation, you know. And we have different institutions in the Bogotá Circular. We have 5 entities of the government. We have the private sector. We have the academic institution. We have 2 cooperation agencies in order to build shared governance. Now we are currently promoting 4 accelerator projects from Bogotá Circular. The first one is related with the textile sector, and it's called Red Moda Circular. We are working with the different companies. We have the 7 post-consumer points for clothing. We have the participation in the Bogotá Fashion Week, that is the most important event of the fashion in Bogotá. And it's very important that we are working with the special program called Repairing Hands, that is related with this woman or men, that the women or men that they were working in repair clothes. The second one, Regenera, is related with organic waste. we are working with the 76 restaurants in a pilot project related with how to manage the organic waste. What are the different alternatives for a good management of the organic waste of this restaurant? And we are working in some guide for the restaurant sector, how to management, how to separate, a guide to comprehensive the solid waste management, and how to involve the circular economy in their activities. Some indicators is the idea of this accelerator project. Also, we are working a project with with the bid related with a platform, regional platform for circular economy. We are working with Santiago de Chile, Quito, Lima, and obviously Bogotá. That the idea is how to promote how to dynamize the circular economy in each city through the platform that allows to the each city interchange products, interchange some ways that will be a raw material for other business. We are working in the development of this platform. And the last one is related with the circular, sorry, in the circular purchase, and is you know that the importance that have the circular purchase, the public circular purchase in how to promote the circular economy in the city. We're working in the ABC, circular contracting, in order to understand very well how to do it for each institution, each entity, and also we are working with the private sector in order to the private sector also develop this kind of strategy. The roadmap for the next 2 years is focused in 4 points. The first one is a new accelerator project related with construction and demolition waste. It's a big problem for the city, and the different entities are working in, and we need a specific new accelerator projects in this in this way. The second one is we are in the final steps of the district circular economy policy, and next year we need to start to implementing this circular economy policy for the city. And this circular economy policy is aligned with the Bogotá Circular. Related with the governance, we need to consolidate the Bogotá Circular as a platform for public, private, academic, and international cooperation. Yes, you know that next year we will have a new city administration. We need that the Bogotá Circular remains at a main tool for these the issues of circular economy in the city. And finally, we are working in the information management. Each entity have different information related with circular economy, and we know that there are very important information on how to get this information in a only wide place for knowledge of all participants. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Oscar. That was incredibly interesting. There's so much in there. I just quickly wanted to ask a question about, you called it, I think you called it green purchasing or circular purchasing. We would say green procurement. So that's your own public authority purchasing strategy. Has that been agreed or implemented yet, or are you just developing that?
Yes, Bogotá started the green procurement in 2015, but we have different barriers related with the what are you understand for green procurement, what are the circular procurement, what are the sustainable procurement, how to measure, what are the indicators, you know. Then we are working in how to solve these problems, how to solve, because some people, some entities talk about the circular procurement, some entities talk about sustainable procurement, and at national level, the ministry is talking about the sustainable procurement, and it's a little, you know, it's not clear.
Yeah. Languages, people use different language, and then there are different outcomes and objectives for our different strategies. That's quite interesting. Okay, if I could ask the other presenters to come back on screen, we'll have a bit of a discussion, and then if there are any questions from people on the webinar, we can tackle them. If not, we'll see where we're at. But please do, you know, if you have any questions, please do put them in the Q&A, and we can attempt to answer those. I guess a question to all of you, really. You're all in slightly different places on this journey, and that's really interesting. So that's that gives us something to kind of for other cities to look at in where you are on the journey. But you're all starting a circular economy journey, and my question is, why the circular economy? What is it about the circular economy that appeals to your city, and what do you feel the benefits are to you and your citizens? Jump in to answer that.
Okay, I will start. I think that really the circular economy creates new opportunities, new jobs, maybe no new green jobs, and it's a sustainable point of view, how to develop how to see the development of the city, how to involve the private sector. And I think that they have a lot of benefits in this way. If all of us are working in the sustainability issues, I think the circularity issues are a very important tool in order to see a different way to develop a project, to develop business, to develop the development of the city.
Francisco, did you have a view on that?
Yes, of course. I believe that the circular economy is the only way for the economy to be sustainable over time. We believe in the idea that there is no future that is not sustainable, and therefore economy and environment have to go hand in hand. We also believe that there is no way for us as government to do it alone, something that we talked before, but so that's why for us it's really important to create community, to create networks with private sector, with NGOs, with universities, and with society, because also environmental movements have real power in what we create and what we demand as a society for all the important actors, just as government enterprises and others. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's revolutionary. You know, it's a complete revolution in the way that we manage our economy and the way that we relate to citizens and business. Jannia, I kind of feel that you're really at the sharp end, if that makes sense to you. You're really confronted by some significant waste problems where you are. So what does circular economy mean to you?
Well, the concept of the circularity in the economy, I see like a new way to design thinking, because it's a different way to when you start a project or thinking or something new from, in our case, from the local government, that now we have to make more steps to when we think like a circularity. And for example, the waste management in our city, the first time that we used the program of the zero waste, we just recollect the materials, the plastics and everything, and just go to the private recyclers, and there's the finish. Now, when we think with the applying the circular economy, now we are include the NGOs, we include that what is the all the transport of that that waste, and how we can benefit more citizens. We can include the green jobs, we can include the private sector, we can include the have more indicators for what are we doing with that. So you have to think more. It's not just like a start and finish. You have to include many things. So it's beautiful because you have to be more think more slowly, and you have to look how you can include more people benefiting with these projects.
Yeah, that's quite apt, really, because traditionally waste management is all about speed. It's about moving something very quickly so it doesn't become a problem. So in a way, the circular economy does give us time to think more practically about how we can manage resources and materials. I suppose my second question is maybe more sort of global. How do you feel that the circular economy relates to the current climate emergency? I know that some of you mentioned that, but are you able to tell that story to your businesses and residents? Please jump in.
I don't understand the last part. I don't know if you can repeat it.
Yeah,
please, sorry.
Do you feel that the circular economy relates to the current climate crisis, and how are you able to tell that story of that relationship to your citizens?
I want to start because, well, for example, our office is the resilient office. So when we have to think about in everything, the first thing that we're thinking is in the climate change, and of course the disaster risk reduction. So for example, with this project, this is we did this study with the University of Georgia and other experts, and we can see the relationship from the waste management and the disaster risk reduction. Of course, I always thinking that it was separate, that's something different. So when you have to include this kind of strategies like the circular economy, now we can see another ways to reduce the impacts of the disaster risks on the climate change. For example, in Panama, the climate problems that we have is the intensive rain that we have. We are coast city, so now we have floods from the up of the sea. Yeah. And from the river. So we are living for the now we have problem in the Panama Canal because we don't have more raining. So we have this problem now. It's not like something will happen in the future, the climate change. So we're living that right now. So
and the Panama Canal has an effect on world
yes.
trade.
Yes, 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 yes. And the Panama Canal is the first, is the most important economic ingreso that we have in our city, in our country. Is the most important economic that we have. So yes, the climate change is affect us now. So we have to make all the projects thinking in solving very different problems, including the climate and disaster risks and the waste management and everything together the in one just project. Try to be more efficient in that.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll go to Francisco. Same question to you. I was saying to you before that the C40 Mayor Summit was in Buenos Aires more or less a year ago, actually today. So, you know, how are you thinking about the relationship between climate and the circular economy? Bearing in mind, of course, that one of the C40 leadership goals is to start thinking about the impact that carbon emissions have outside our boundaries in the things that we consume.
Yes, what I think is that circular economy is the solution for the climate action that we have to take. We have a climate action plan that aims to make the city carbon neutral by the 2050. The circular economy is our how to achieve these targets. Greenhouse gases are generated from waste, energy, and transport. So if we can transform these productive sectors, we will be able to achieve this climate change mitigation. Also, I think that if we create communities, as I said, where people can intervene and participate, I think that's really important, because all what are we talking is about habits. So we can change what people do and how they behave. I think that we will be able to achieve those climate action plan and goals. So that's why, at least in Argentina and Buenos Aires, we create an environmental movement that was born in the city of Buenos Aires and today is present throughout Argentina. We call it Embajadores Verdes. It's like green ambassadors. It's our lineal introduction, but the basis of the movement is that there are many people who want to be protagonists, who want to be the face of this climate change. And they have the capacity also to transform their neighborhood or their city, so in a more sustainable place. So we identified many local leaders and support them with tools to carry out activities and with communication toolkits, so they can create groups independently of what we do as government. So I think that, as we said, enterprises, NGOs, and society, if we can believe all the same and do actions in order to achieve our climate change goals, I think, well, that this is about, this is what we think that circular economy means.
Somebody had asked a question in the chat about the green ambassadors, and in London, you know, we're working at neighborhood level, but we don't have a movement like you've created. So I'm going to be a bit cheeky and take this up with you offline, and maybe we can have an exchange and a collaboration and learn from your green ambassador experience, because it sounds like you're doing exactly the kind of thing that we want to do.
Of course.
Oscar, same question really. How does climate, and you mentioned it, I think, actually specifically in your presentation, so how does climate and circular economy relate with your strategy, and how are you having that discussion with your citizens?
Yes, I agree with Francisco and Jannia, the relationship between climate action, climate crisis, and the circular economy. I was thinking about I don't exactly the data, but the Ellen MacArthur Foundation said that all the issues from all the issues related with climate action, about 45% is related with circular economy, yes? Then the circular economy plays a very important role in the climate crisis. I think that the problem is how to measure it, how to measure the impact of the circular economy actions in the climate issues. It's not easy. It's not easy. You know that we have some indicators for the most important, the GSG protocol, for other issues. But for circular economy, we need to start to develop some indicators, some measure, how to measure this, the impact in. But I think that is very important. And I think with the citizens, the most important is the development of the criteria, how to use in a more responsible way all the resources, using the circular economy the theory like a tool. It communicate in a very simple way, in order to develop practical daily actions. Is I think. Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah, I mean that sounds that resonates. You know what you've said with our experience, and it seems to me that all of us in this call have similar experiences. We're all dealing with big populations. We have our own specific problems, but the materials that we're managing are very similar. They're more or less the same. We're all interested in food and textiles and building waste and plastic waste, and how we get that back into the productive economy. On that note, do you collaborate through your own individual network? So how are you accessing other similar people? Are there local or regional networks that you're part of?
I think that is very important, related with the other cities, other countries, other initiatives, because each country should develop specific strategies, and it's easier if we know other projects that we have similar, as you said, similar problematics around the world. You know, I think that in the most in the most cities, the same problematic: organic waste, plastic waste, the demolition, construction waste, and how to manage this very important, how to relate it with the other experience. In that way, we are participating in the Circular Cities meetings from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. We are working with the CEPAL in North America, also related with the circular cities, and currently we are starting with the German Cooperation Agency program for Circular Cities Network here in Colombia, in order to share the experience, in order to share the knowledge of the different cities, and share and build together a roadmap for improve this kind of circular economy transition.
Thank you. And Francisco and Jannia, do you have similar networks that you are part of?
Yes, I think that society is moving towards a more circular paradigm shift. So people are demanding that here in Buenos Aires, in Panama, in Colombia, and everywhere. So, and this is happening more and more all over the world. So that's why knowing how other cities are doing it so important. Each one has its own idiosyncrasy. I don't know if this word is okay, but to achieve some change in how people behave, there are things that work everywhere the same. So we learned a lot from another cities about extending producer responsibility, how to implement a single-use plastic law, and much more. So I think that this event, as my colleague said, Ellen MacArthur Foundation, do also are really, really rich.
Yeah. And Jannia, same question to you.
Well, the experience to working in networking, it's so important. For more, these countries are very small countries. For example, we are very, very, very small country, and of course, a very a small city. And so the best way to try to make this kind of project and everything is get together. So I always recommend to another cities in another codex that if you can to get part of the different city networks, try it. If not just one, try all the networks that you can see that is aligned in your city. Do it. For example, we in Panama City. We are part of the RCD network. We're part of the MCR 2030 network. We started a new network from just cities in Central America and Caribbean and República Dominicana. This is more because all the financial school that is in the bigger country, it's just for that kind of country, so that kind of city. So it's better if you are going like another 100 cities, another big group, and you have access more financial tools and another kind of projects. All these projects that I'm working is because we are part of this network. So I always encourage all the city that if you have the opportunity, try it, because it's a very a good way to get access to all this kind of the projects and stuff.
Well, I mean, we in London, we're part of the C40 cities network.
Exactly.
Then there's the global covenant of mayors. There are other networks, but there's nothing specifically circular. So maybe we should keep in contact and create another network. But it's good to have contacts with people who are dealing with circular economy route maps, as well as the climate action planning stuff. So I think that's useful. We have got a few minutes left, but I think that there is one question in the chat
yes,
specifically for you, Jannia. So if you want to deal with that, and then I'm going to ask each of you in turn to kind of to finish off. And what I'd like you to do is, if you could just think of one piece of advice for people who are watching. It's my belief, it's our belief, that cities are the change makers. We're the ones that make things happen at the national level. It gets a bit slow and there's lots of talking, but we do the hard work and the action. So I'd like you to think about what you would advise your colleagues who are starting on this road. What piece of advice would you give to them? But first, Jannia, just if you could just deal with that question, which is, what is the level of implementation of residual biomass and organic waste in your municipality?
Well, we started using biodigesters for producing biogas from the organic waste from the municipal markets. Now we are expanding the number of markets. So we are inviting other municipalities of the country to get together for get access and other financial tools like green bonds in order to try to expand this kind of a project. Now we just are working with 2 markets, but the idea is it's expanding with the others, another ones. But yes, we are trying to try that way with the biomass.
Right. Okay. Thanks for that. I see that Oscar's been joined by his dog, so that's quite interesting. It's all happening here in the webinar. Can I just ask you then individually to sum up, what would you say is your kind of learning from the processes that you've been through? Maybe if I start with Oscar, then Francisco, and then Jannia.
Related with the process, what are the main learnings?
Yeah, what's your advice? You know, what advice would you give?
I think that there are the two main advices for based in our experience. The first one is work together with the private and the academic sector. The circular economy cannot belong to one institution. It's a systemic point of view, and a systemic point of view, you need involve of the actors, different actors, and you need build together and share governance model that you can understand what are the needs of the private sector, what are the needs of the academic sector, what are the needs of the government sectors, and how to mix these needs together and build together a roadmap to the circular economy. The first one. And the second one is that you need to start with a specific project, a practical project, not a big project that change the world, but you need a specific project that get results in the short term. The short term, because if you have some results in the short term, you improve the credibility, of the people, of the institution, of the people, and it's necessary also for policy, also for citizens, also for all the actors. Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah, brilliant. Very wise words, Oscar. Thank you. Francisco.
Yes, I think that involving society through participation channels is key. The same with companies and all types of organizations that have an impact on the public conversation. We have to be in the public conversation. I think that it is also important for those, at least, who work in government, to get away from the institutional way that we all commonly communicate. Because it is a bit boring for people, and we have to be closer when we communicate more when we want to change a behavior. So I think that if we can get every friend, neighbor, partner to talk to another person about the benefits of the circular economy, we will achieve the cultural change that we are looking for. That's it.
I could not agree more. Thank you, Francisco. And Jannia, final word to you. What words of advice would you offer people?
Okay, try with the other cities experience. You will be more efficient learning about other places and other cities. And of course, it's important not just focus in projects. You have to be more macro. You have to think about policies, about the citizens' participation, about including all the sectors, including the private, the NGOs, the international organisms. And you will be that it's better if you include more people than working alone. The time will be reduced a lot if you're working with more, if you have more eyes working with you.
Yeah, thank you. I totally agree. And I do hope, it feels like this conversation has been a conversation amongst friends who have had very similar experiences. So I do hope this is the start of a journey, and that we've also spoken to other citizen entrepreneurs in various different places around the globe, and we all have, it seems to me, very similar experiences. So it's been an absolute pleasure to learn from you today. I thank you so much for joining in the webinar, and to everybody out there, thank you for participating. And we hope this is the start of the journey, but for today, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank
you. Have a good day.
Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Thank you all. Bye.